Hello everybody! Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to dive back into classes once again for the last time before the launch of Mod 16, and I'm going to cover everything that's changed about all 8 classes in the past few weeks. So basically everything that is major that has changed since the last class updates video. So yeah, oh by the way, if you guys were worried that my channel was gonna get super negative just because of my last video, it's not, so don't worry about it. Today's patch was the last patch before Mod 16 goes live, so yeah. I'm gonna do the classes in a very particular order this time. I know last time I said no particular order, but I can't reuse that joke, so I gotta think of a new one, but I fail at that. I'm just gonna go in order of what's in my character sheet. So that means we're gonna start off with Cleric. Hi person! I don't know who you are, but hello. So the first change, a pretty major one that I was pretty upset about, is the change to the Critical Sun feat. And you might notice this in a different place than before. That's because these two feats are new. Feats were reworked really heavily for clerics, but this one in particular is the same, sort of. But it can't be cast consecutively with this feat if it crits when hitting multiple enemies anymore. And given that Celestial Prominence is a strong AoE daily, and it can't be used, this double effect can't be used if you use it in an AoE situation and it crits, I mean, that's kinda lame. Guardian of Faith deals bonus damage based on the correct type of judgment now. That was broken before. And then they renamed Inquisitor's Benediction to Arbiter's Benediction, and then they removed it altogether in the next patch. The class features were reworked as well. So, all the feats in the class features for Cleric, both Paragons, were pretty much redone. So as far as feats go, we have Angel of Death now, there's Perfect Balance, and I'm not going to go over these specifically, but I am just going to mention which ones are new. I think Sudden Verdict is new, and Inner Balance, Focused Light is new. It makes Daunting Light into a single target power, which is interesting, but it increases the magnitude as well. And Searing Light was renamed to Searing Javelin, and remember how I said that they increased the radius in the last video? Well, they decreased it this time, but they didn't update the tooltip, so it still says it's 8 feet, but it's supposed to only be 5.5 feet now. I'm just going in random order of stuff. The class features that were changed, there's one called Expanded Faith now, that's a universal one. It increases your maximum divinity, which I think is pretty nice. There's no more Inquisitor's Benediction, as I said earlier. That's the one that gave you a 20% healing bonus in the Arbiter Paragon. That didn't make any sense. Now the final one is Divine Equilibrium, so your damage is increased by 15% whenever your divinity is exactly half of your maximum divinity, and then it decreases as your divinity becomes further away from the middle. So if you have more, or like your divinity is empty, you're going to have the least bonus. If your divinity is full, you're going to have the least bonus, and as you approach the middle from either direction, you're going to get more of a damage bonus. At least that's how I interpret it. But you know, sometimes the way it's interpreted by most people is not actually how it works. There's also one called Doomsayer that whenever you use an encounter power that has a negative condition, like a stun or a root like Chains of Blazing Light or whatever, it increases your damage by 10% for 10 seconds. So that's pretty okay. I mean, it's a damage bonus. We don't really have those in the Arbiter Paragon. As far as Devout goes, Blessings of Battle was renamed to Blessing of Light, and it increases the effect of your next healing spell by 10%. Soothing Light was renamed to Soothe also, so they renamed a bunch of stuff, and they increased its magnitude, and made it cost 10 divinity. They reworked the first 3 feat columns here, and then also added one Angel of Life and Light of Devotion at the end. That's why I don't have anything selected here, because whenever they redid them all, my powers were just automatically respect. So pretty much all the feats are new. They're all more healing related now, and there's this middle tier here. I guess I don't know if I want to call them tiers, but these 2 are damage related, and these 8 are healing related. And as far as class features go, this one makes your outgoing healing increase as your divinity approaches 0, so the less divinity you have, the stronger your healing will be. And moving during channeling divinity and channeling Astral Shield is now a class feature that you can have slotted. It's not a feat anymore, which is interesting. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's interesting. And then Overflowing Spirit, whenever your divinity is full, your outgoing healing is increased by 25%. So this one increases your healing when you have the most divinity, and this one increases your healing whenever you have less divinity. So basically you're doing increased healing almost all the time. Their mechanic Righteousness now increases the effect of healing spells and decreases the cost of the healing spells that cost Divinity. It also decreases the threat that's generated from healing, which is nice. So, that's about it for Cleric, I think. Hey, it's another person. Now, it's time for Paladino! Now, Paladins have been changed quite a lot in the past few weeks, so this section might be kinda long. But a lot of the changes were them renaming stuff and fixing stuff, so I'm not going to talk about those necessarily, just what core aspects have been changed since 3 weeks ago. They increased the magnitude of Divine Touch up to 500, it was 400 previously. They reordered the class features and stuff, renamed some stuff, and fixed auras, because auras were not properly applying in a lot of instances. In Justicar specifically, they removed the heal from Binding Oath. It used to heal whenever you took damage. They reworked the Divine Champion / Divine Palisade completely, and it's actually kinda useful now. Whenever you have it active, it automatically blocks attacks for you. It adds a heal over time to enemies, or not enemies, to you and people behind you. It doubles the effectiveness of your auras on party members. You generate more threat, and you're CC immune. And you also look really awesome, by the way. Look at me. I'm an angel. Ha ha ha. I have wings. I believe I can fly. Wee! Oh. The Divine Shieldbearer class feature, that was the one that increased your stamina regeneration. That one was replaced with Divine Retribution, and that increases the damage you deal by up to 5% as your stamina decreases. They changed Bond of Virtue. It now redirects 100% of the healing instead of 40%. Not that anyone really used that anyway, but they increase the magnitude of your heal on Cure Wounds, and it costs 10 Divinity now. Identical auras don't stack if you have multiple Paladins in a party using the same auras, so that's kind of, you figured that was going to happen. Increase the magnitude of Divine Shelter. It is 350 now. And the Divinity cost, I can't talk today. The Divinity cost has been reduced to 120. The feats of Oathkeeper were heavily reworked. I think they're kinda useful now, actually. Especially because of the Divine Barrier thing. Paladins, Oathkeeper Paladins, do a lot of shielding now in addition to healing, and that's something that I actually really like. It gives you a whole new aspect to what a Paladin is in this game. It gives you something else to do, although the powers that heal also shield, so you're doing the two things at once. But I think it's cool to have something like that in the game. The heal over time effect of Sanctuary has been increased to 600 magnitude instead of the 250 it was before, and that's your daily, the bubble daily. Alright, that's it for Paladin, folks. We're moving on now to whatever character's next on my list, I don't know. Alright, next up is the Fighter. Into the Fray power actually displays the correct amount of run speed that you get for yourself and allies, it's 20%. And by the way, they added run speed to Into the Fray again, so yay! They also did a bunch of little small adjustments to the class features of the Fighter. This class feature, Enduring Vengeance, that the Dreadnought has, actually gave a 60% damage bonus before instead of 5%, so that was fixed. And then for the Tank Paragon, the feat that makes Anvil of Doom put you at the top of the opponent's threat list actually works now. And that explains a lot about how I was having a little bit of issues. And Knight's Valor redirects damage like it's supposed to. But other than that, that's it for Fighter, so we're moving on to the next class already. Next up is, of course, going to be Warlock. Warlock received a very slight nerf in the most recent patch. The cost to use the Shatter Spark heal was increased by 1 Soul Spark, so it costs 4 now instead of 3. That's not too terrible, but you're gonna have to manage your Soul Sparks slightly better whenever you're healing. I don't think it's a big deal, though. Shadow Slip doesn't have a negative cast time anymore. Although I don't really think that there needs to be a cast time listed at all, but I mean, what do I know? That's about it that was changed with Warlock. Okay, next one. Next up on our listorino is the Barbarian. In the Blade Master Paragon, I haven't been in this Paragon for a little while, Adamantine Strike now actually pivots to face the direction that you're aiming the camera, like the most other attacks did, or the nearest enemy, so like not really a whole lot was changed, it just targets a little differently. The Barbarian Sprint now grants immunity for the first 1 second that you hold it down, similar to how Warlock Shadow Slip works. And the effect cannot occur more than once every 3 seconds. That's it for Barbarian. Next up is the Ranger. Ranger has seen quite a lot of changes in the past few weeks compared to before, so that can be a good or bad thing. I don't play Ranger, so you guys tell me if this stuff's good or bad. I don't know. The aspect of the pack class feature doubles in value, and there's a bonus for having all 4 party members nearby. So 5,000. So actually a lot of these changes are the tooltips being updated to have the correct information in them. But Seismic Shot should now activate on the first button press, and it's able to hit targets up to 80 feet instead of the 85 feet that was listed before. In the Hunter Paragon, the aspect of the Falcon class feature now actually works properly, and a bunch of stuff should now actually be affected by Longshot. Slasher's Mark should debuff the enemy properly. So basically they fixed a lot of stuff that wasn't working before. In the Warden Paragon, Split the Sky doesn't apply a debuff icon anymore. Thick Skin now lasts 60 seconds, and a bunch of stuff now has information in their tooltips, just again. And back to the Hunter Paragon again, because I'm going through these posts in order, but Thorned Roots now does damage based on the stance that you're in, and Hunter's Teamwork now actually works when it drops AP or health or stamina to allies. It didn't actually do that before. And back over to Warden again. Call of the Storm will now only fire once per power usage. Rain of Arrows now works with Aspect of the Serpent. Seeker's Vengeance no longer works with Rain of Arrows unless you actually have the feature slotted. And flip-flopping back over to the Hunter Paragon. Careful Attack's range is increased to 80 feet. And that is it for the Ranger. I always want to call it a Hunter, not a Ranger, but it's a Ranger. And next up, we have the Rogue. There is a D20 on the floor. Rogue had very few changes in the past few weeks. Most notably the Assassin Paragon. Gloaming Cut now actually gives the 20% stealth meter on a kill. And in the Whisper Knife Paragon, Disheartening Strike now correctly applies only on damage over time. And then also in Whisper Knife, Path of the Blade hits the expected number of times. So it actually works properly now, basically. Hits as often as it's supposed to. And that's it for Rogue. That was really fast. Okay, next one. And last but not least, we have the Wizard. Wizard doesn't have a whole lot of changes either, but we'll go through them anyway. In the Thaumaturge Paragon, Conduit of Ice actually adds its chill stacks to all the affected targets. And then in the Arcanist Paragon, they fixed a bunch of stuff, like Alacrity now actually reduces encounter cooldowns when it's equipped. Arcane Power Field now does AoE damage like it's supposed to. Eye of the Storm now works properly. Snap Freeze and Assailing Force now properly lock each other out in the feats. Snap Freeze does the right amount of damage, and Spell Twisting now actually works correctly with Ray of Frost. And that is about it. Now let me actually double check and make sure I got all the classes, because I wasn't paying attention to how many I did. Okay, and that is it for the update video. This is what is going to go live on Tuesday, unless there's any like major complications that force them to push it back as sort of an emergency thing, but I'm pretty sure they are pushing through with the set date of the 23rd. If they were to push it back now, they've already advertised that it's the 23rd, so yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in this or any other Neverwinter content, believe it or not, I actually have a whole list of videos that I want to make that aren't even on my calendar, so they would have to be for May or further on along the line. I just hope that I'm able to keep doing them and that Neverwinter continues to thrive or comes back from this or something. But we'll see as time goes on. If you want to leave a comment, tell me about which Kool-Aid flavor is the best. And if you don't like Kool-Aid, you suck. Alright, have a good day. Bye.